Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name's Ian and welcome back to the channel Ian the Reader. Today I have a book review for you all of a book that I love. I'm just gonna get that right out there. I love this book. It was such a delight to read and I'm so excited to talk to you guys about it today. So excited, in fact, that I was going to film this review later because this book doesn't come out until February, but I just wanted to get some thoughts out there, get this book on your radar, convince some of you to pre-order it, hopefully, because I want this book to just gain the world. I think it totally deserves it. I think it's going to be huge, but I want to get it on your radar so you can start thinking about it and get to reading it as soon as possible. The book that I'm talking about is Greenteeth by Molly O'Neill. I received an e-arc of this book from the publisher Orbit, so thank you so much to Orbit for granting me permission to read it early. I am truly grateful. So I don't know about you guys, but it has been a pretty crazy couple of months for me, not only just with life in general, but things going on in the world have been so heavy. There has been so much stuff that is just stressful and worrisome and all-consuming, it feels like, and this book was a ray of light in the darkness for me. I picked it up at the very beginning of November, which for Americans, that was a pretty crazy time with the election going on and all that jazz, and this book just, it was the perfect escape for me, and maybe it was partly due to that I love this book so much, although I think I would have enjoyed it so much at any time, but this book truly was exactly what I needed in the moment I needed it, and I just love it when a book does that, when it's the right book at the right time, and that is exactly what Greenteeth was for me, and what I think could be for you if you're going through any sort of a stressful or overwhelming time, which a lot of us are. Let me tell you what this book is about. Greenteeth follows a character named Jenny Greenteeth, who is a lake creature. She lives in the lake. She is green. She has long teeth and kind of claws, and her arms and legs are kind of longer than humans. She doesn't look like us, really, although she is somewhat humanoid, but she lives in the lake. She thrives in the lake, and she's been there for a very long time, hundreds and hundreds of years, in fact. She has been living on her own in this little cave in the lake for quite some time and just minding her own business, and then one day a witch is thrown in the lake, and she decides for some reason or another to rescue her, and things go from there. So I actually knew very, very little about this book going into it. Pretty much everything I told you is all that I knew, but that's really just the setup. It's like the first chapter of the book is exactly what I explained to you just then. I didn't know where the plot was going to go. I didn't know what the primary conflict was going to be. I didn't even really know what the setting was going to be. At first, I thought it was like a Salem witch trials kind of setting, but it's really not. It's more set throughout Europe in quite a few different places. There's a bit of traveling that does go on in this book, and I was just so surprised and delighted by all of the things that I discovered throughout my reading experience of this book. To tell you a couple of the tropes you're going to find in this story that I absolutely loved, you have found family, you have a ragtag group of outcasts coming together, you have a quest, you have a lovable animal companion, you have cozy vibes, you have fae, you have magical creatures, you have so much stuff to love in this book. It checked so many boxes for me of books that I enjoy, but it did it all in a way that was in one way very nostalgic, and then it felt familiar, but in another way it felt so fresh. I loved this book so much. One thing that I was particularly pleased by in this book was the author's choice of protagonist. I think it very easily could have been a story about a witch who is thrown in a lake and is saved by this creature in the lake. But instead, choosing to have Jenny Greenteeth be the protagonist was such an interesting choice, and it provided so many different qualities to the narrative that I really enjoyed. We follow a character who has been isolated for a long time, who is seen by so many of the creatures living around her as a monster, as a threat, as ugly or disgusting, and she has had to grapple with that her entire existence, which again, she's been alive for quite a long time, so this is no small bit of experience she has. She has been hated by so many people for ages. This story really is a story of redemption and finding herself for Jenny, though. Despite the fact that she has been alive for so long, she's been in kind of a state of stagnancy for quite some time, just living in her lake, not having any relationships whatsoever, at least not for quite some time, and not really knowing what she's gonna do next other than just living in the lake and eating the things that come into it. And so this story was really about this creature who has been stuck in her old ways for such a long time, finding a new way and finding herself and exploring what her future could be. And that was a story that I really enjoyed, and one that I think all of us could really use at a time like this when so many of us are looking at the future with big question marks. I think it is the perfect story, again, at the perfect time. I do want to spend a moment talking about the other characters, though. As much as I love Jenny Greenteeth, we also have a couple of other characters. So we have the witch who's thrown in the lake. Her name is Temperance, and she is such a delight as well. Her tenacity, her talent, her ambition to come home to her family, because she has a husband and children who she has now had to abandon because she has supposedly been killed, and if she goes back, then they're going to kill her again. I really loved Temperance's story, and really especially her friendship with Jenny throughout the story, the way she goes from fearing her to trusting her to really caring for her deeply. This was something that I truly enjoyed, and not only their relationship, but also Temperance's growth and progression throughout the story, and the sacrifices that she's willing to make for her family. I found these things to be really relatable, and I really appreciated her as a character. The third character in this ragtag group of friends is Brackus, who is a goblin. He's a character who I didn't really know what to expect from, because when we first meet him, we find out very quickly that Jenny does not like him, and we don't know why. We don't really know what the history is or whether or not we should trust him, but you slowly learn more and more about their history, which is quite extensive because they're both immortal. They're both fey creatures of some sort, and so they have known each other for hundreds of years, and there's a lot of backstory there, and getting to explore that over time and find out why Jenny feels the way she does about him, and also learning more about Brackus as a character who was so funny, was just such a delight. I really enjoyed Brackus as a character. He was a character that surprised me a lot, and that I was just so happy to have included in this group of characters. Like I said, in addition to that, though, we have a lot of other things to love in the story. You've got a wonderful animal companion who I would defend with my life. You've got magical creatures and just magic in general. Some really interesting world building that I really appreciated quite a lot. And in addition to that, you've also got other great things like just this great sense of atmosphere. There are really not a whole lot of scenes in this book, now that I think about it, that take place in buildings. There are a handful, and some pretty big pivotal moments do, but most of this story takes place in nature, whether that's in a lake, in a forest, on a wilderness path, on a beach at times. Like, there are so many different nature settings in this story, and I loved that. Just having a story that felt so earthy, so real, so alive. It truly did. Not only just like the description of the natural surroundings, but the animals, the creatures. It was full of life. It was brimming with life, and that was something that I really enjoyed as well. I read so many books that are set in buildings or courtrooms or offices or whatever, and just having a book that took place almost exclusively outdoors, it was amazing. And I could truly tell that Molly O'Neill was inspired so much by her upbringing and the lands that she lived in. She's from Australia, but I read a little bit about her bio, and she just loves the landscape and nature of the places that she's lived. And that truly does bleed into this story, because I felt it. I felt in the land, and it was perfect. It was so good. The writing is also so whimsical and wonderful, and the characterization of these characters as they redeem themselves and learn more about themselves, all of it, guys. It truly checked every box for me. And again, I don't know if I just adore it so deeply because it was the right book at the right time, or if this book is truly just all of those qualities and more. I really think it's both, though, because I think so many people are going to love this book, and for me, it was exactly what I needed when I need it. And I hope it is for you too. Please, please, please go and pre-order this book. Like I said, it comes out February 25th. You are not going to want to miss it. It is going to be everywhere, and you want to be a part of it. And I'm here to tell you right now, I don't care if I'm the first review or the 10th or 100th review you've watched. If I can convince you to read this book, then I'm happy, because this book was fantastic. Again, thank you so much to Orbit for the NetGalley e-arc of this book, and to Molly O'Neill for writing such a wonderful and whimsical and powerful story. I'll be thinking about this for a long time, and I would be utterly shocked if it did not make my year-end list. Let me know if Greenteeth sounds like an interesting book to you. I hope that you enjoy it if you do read it. Get your pre-orders in or request it on NetGalley, whatever you got to do to read this book. Just read it, review it, and tell everybody about it, because this book is amazing. It really is. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.